As part of the hunt for my next Grail watch, Glashütte Original is a brand on top of my list I was eager to examine. In particular is this Panomatic Luna, which I've wanted to review for so long. So today, finally, I get to see if this is possibly the Grail I've been looking for. So let's find out.
Hey guys, is this the Grail watch that we've been searching for? The Panomatic Luna review. You won't believe what we've found. The hunt for the next Grail watch is on, and today we're going to dive into this video by The Urban Gentry. My name is Daniel with Chronosapien, and this watch is a Glashütte Original Panomatic Luna. We've been dying to review this beauty for so long, but does it have what it takes to be the ultimate watch? Well, join us as the Urban Gentry explores if this is the holy grail that he's been waiting for. You won't want to miss this.
Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Today, I finally get a look at the Panomatic Luna. Here it is. A big thank you to Moya Fine Jewelers for lending it in. They are an authorized dealer for Glashütte Original. Now I'll do a quick wristwatch check wearing my Gerard Perregaux. This is the classic with the power reserve that I recently acquired, my final purchase of 2023. It's on the rainbow strap from Holbens. This is made by Hirsch, but I got it from Holbens and it's just a winning combination. But let's get into this heavenly creature. If you didn't know much about watches, except a few high-end German brand names, you could easily mistakenly think, at first glance, this is an Lange und Söhne, or ALS, as I'll refer to them from now on. And the reason is, despite Glashütte Original only being founded in 1994 in their present state, Glashütte Original shares its roots and hometown with a famed group of watchmakers that came to Glashütte in the Saxony state of Germany, especially to manufacture watch components and pocket watches in the 1840s. This supremely talented horological rat pack, if you will, included Ferdinand A. Lange, and their collective technical innovations led to a set of design and engineering principles, all proudly present in today's watch, becoming collectively known as the Glashütte style of watchmaking, which we will explore more of later on. But despite being known as the birthplace of the German watchmaking industry, things didn't go smoothly. The town was almost destroyed entirely towards the end of World War II and subsequently fell into state-run obscurity behind the Iron Curtain, until the collapse of the Soviet Union and the reunification of Germany. But what is crucial to understand beyond all things in order to truly appreciate this watch is the essential three different schools of German design when it comes to their watches. Firstly, there's the traditional neoclassical embellishment of the pre-wristwatch age. Secondly, the clinical minimalism of Bauhaus and the post-war modernism of less is more. And finally, the ruthless, utile giganticism, austerity, efficiency, and robustness of militaristic horology. The Panomatic, no matter which version, is a polyglot of the three distinctly Germanic design languages. So much so, I think it elevates it beyond the other four collections within the Glashütte Original brand. In fact, every time I think of Glashütte Original, the first watch I think of is a Panomatic, and I think that goes for a lot of people as well. So the Glashütte style is not just about the way it looks, but also it refers to the mechanics. If we flip it over and we see that beautiful sapphire exhibition case back, and it goes without saying the entire case is stainless steel with really exquisitely done finishing. The movement is the caliber 90-02.
Okay, I just want to say on the back of that watch, it looks like it has a little bit of Valjoux style polishing, and or something similar to it. I could be wrong. But that being said, its cutout looks very similar to the Grand Seiko, in my humble opinion, but yet there is a lot of styling in there that does look like an atypical Glashütte watch, such as the A Langenzonnes. Now, beyond that though, this watch, as you can see from this video, has some gold in there. There's some weightier components. I mean, it's just beautiful. Like the way that the flywheel is on there is amazing, and this watch definitely is something to be marveled at. I think that the Glashütte has deep roots in Germany, as he mentioned, and true craftsmanship to it. I mean, I've seen this watch at a store through the case, and it looked very nice. I think that this is something that would go with a lot of fits, definitely a dressier watch. I don't know if it would slide under every cuff, but I think it's something that would look great just for about any occasion. I think even pieces that are this dressy and this ornate would even go good with some streetwear. It's kind of like a nice contrast, if you will. If it was a little more understated, then in that case, probably not as much. But with this particular design and watch brand, I think it could pretty much go with anything.
Which is truly, completely in-house produced. And again, we see this kind of decentralized layout, the famed Glashütte 3/4 plate setup. We have absolutely sumptuous decoration, striping, beveling, thermal bluing, polishing, the works. My favorite, and this is what really reminds me of my grandfather GHW's Charles Frodsham, that I talked about recently in the GP unboxing, is that incredible hand-engraved balance bridge. They've even gilded it too, which is a very old school technique. I just love it. This level of craftsmanship, you see it in early Renaissance clocks of Peter Heinlein, the inventor of the first watch in Nuremberg. So it definitely evokes those kind of feelings and references. That it's a nice link back, despite the modernism, the stark contrast of the minimalism employed in the rest of the design. The micro rotor is skeletonized. And just like in my GP, at the end they have a heavier 21 karat weight for the oscillating mass. In my GP they used platinum, because obviously platinum is heavier than gold. But for me, the real star of the show has to be that double swan neck regulator. It's something you don't typically see in modern watches. This basically allows twice the level of precision in regulation with ultra fine adjustment, and I've never ever seen anything other than Kosk tolerances in its accuracy. But despite this old way of doing things, do not be fooled. This is very contemporary movement in its performance. You're going to see a 42-hour power reserve, a contemporary 28,800 VPH, a hacking manual wind, and a really snappy, good quick set as well. And lastly, one of the things I appreciate over the Lange, which you'll see over there, is that the framed date window. I think actually Glashütte Original do it better because there's no framing. You can actually view it from angles. I remember when I reviewed the Lange donkeys years ago, the framed section around the date was quite high, so you couldn't actually see it as well as the way they've done it. And also the layout, it's flipped. I have to say, I think this makes more use of that space. The deconstruction of complications into their own spaces on the dial is not just the dictum of Fibonaccian proportions, but a deliberate placement in order not to muffle any veneration or the clarity of each respective function. When there is overlap, like in the subseconds, the hash marks of the hour and minutes still continue, without the impediment of any readability. We have the immediate time on the left, shown with subtle concentric guilloche subdials, then the astronomical complications of a hand-milled moon phase and date display on the right. The loomed blued lance hands are of martial tradition, combined with the steel case's profile, which, if you had not seen it from the front or the back, and only from the side, you could be fooled into thinking it was intended for something more as a tool or an instrument. The sparseness of the surfaces, especially with the galvanic finishes on the asymmetrical dial, evokes the minimalism of a Walter Gropius building, then combined effectively with the old world classicism of elements like the bosom cut apertures for the moon phase, the use of mostly traditional Baskerville style typefaces, and the most iconic feature of all, the Opera House date window. This was inspired by the legendary 5-minute clock inside the auditorium of the Semper Opera House of Dresden. This 180-year-old institution is revered the world over, and for me personally, it's almost like a holy site on top of my bucket list to visit, because many of my favorite Wagner and Strauss operas premiered there. While ALS was certainly the first to bring this amalgamation of design elements to the market with their Lange 1, the GO is anything but a homage. It's simply a product of the same place, the same Glashüttian watchmaking tradition and design language. However, there is one massive advantage, aside from its competitive value, against its former, much more costly Paesano, ALS. Glashütte Original is not contaminated by association from the wartime murky past that still very much haunts ALS. GO still gets to enjoy the connection with the innovative and prestigious Ferdinand A. Lange and everything he contributed to the town of Glashütte, who passed away long before the dark clouds of conflict and extermination descended over Europe in both world wars. GO also seems to have escaped unscathed from the admirations of the watch hipster fake journalist crowd, who unfortunately adore ALS and that I recently talked about in my Amiga Speedmaster video. Do have a look back if you missed it, because everything I said in that video definitely applies here as well. One thing the Lange 1 got right off the bat was its use of one congruent, bold typeface, possibly two if you include the Roman numerals. With this Panomatic, there is no less than 6 different styles of typeface on the dial alone, and more on the rest of the watch. While incongruous for those with perfect vision, it's not really a worry for my aging eyes. Speaking of dials and legibility, unlike the previously unboxed Panomatic calendar that we briefly took a look at a few months ago, there is no loom plots on the dial to correspond with the loomed hands. While it was certainly diminutive on that watch, it did however add an extra level of functionality. It's a real shame it's omitted here, and I'm not really sure why. So the buckle, while beautifully constructed and expertly finished just like everything in this watch, it is a tad oversized in relation to the rest of the watch. Makes it feel a bit clumsy. I would have preferred a traditional pin and buckle like on my Gero Perigo, but then again, maybe I'm too old school. The strap itself is excellent, outstanding, alligator leather with a kind of almost suede interior, so it's nice and soft on your skin, and then the pattern on the outside, very traditional, very restrained. It's not glossy or anything, so the highlight is definitely still, or the focus is definitely on the watch. The crown itself is a little bit difficult to pull out. I wish there was a recessed section there so you could get a better purchase, but really not the end of the world. This is the kind of details that you cannot do a review from pictures online. You really have to get to know the watch. I still don't understand why people have those kind of reviews. It's a fake review. It's not a real review. But anyway, this is the kind of details you really have to experience it, learn its nuances and characteristics and all the rest of it. While it certainly meets the urban gentry trademark phrase of being a strap monster leather-wise, in my opinion, definitely would not work with anything like rubber, anything military, canvas, NATO, etc. This is definitely a great everyday, you know, semi-casual smart, but it's not sporty enough and it's too formal for kind of sportswear, tracksuit, whatever. And the last negative, of course, is I wish it was a bit thinner. I know the manual wind versions are thinner, but then the Saxonia with the moon phase, I think is under 10 millimeters if I recall correctly, and that's an automatic, so I can't see why they don't do it now with this. And it's a shame that the diameter, I'm trying to think how it would work. There is enough space to house the movement because you see where it screws in. I wish this was 38 millimeters. It just would have been that sweet spot. But the question is, why has Glashütte Original gone a little bit bigger? The oversized watch trend saw its perverse peak during the late 2000s, the embarrassingly awkward result of aspirational marketing gone mad, and the toxic flex culture it spawned. This bigger is better delusion also permeated somewhat into the scale of this watch, or at least its progenitors. The first Panomatic coming to market around the same time in 2003, and remaining relatively unchanged in proportions, give or take half a millimeter, since then. Compare it to the typical dress watch of a decade earlier from the mid-1990s, you'll see exactly what I mean. While much of its scale is attributable to the necessary stacking of the movement's architecture, micro-rotors historically, like the one in my record-breaking Universal Genève White Shadow, were typically utilized to reduce the height of the watch, and therefore make it more elegant to wear in formal attire, as a true dress watch should be. It's a shame the same cannot be said for this particular watch.
Father, this is the most unbelievable thing I have ever seen, don't you think? Are you German?
The German obsession with scale is deep-rooted and goes far beyond the medieval Teutonic imagery, Wagnerian grandeur, the imperiousness of neoclassical revivalism, and stereotypical perceptions of their economic or industrial might. In many ways, its crescendo was in the unfortunate 12 years of that evil regime, with the deluded machinations of Germania, the monstrous 10,000-room hotel at Prora, the birth of autobahns, and the gargantuan but ironically named mouse tanks of another Saxon, Ferdinand Porsche. It's no different with watches, as we saw their 45mm plus Fliegers. Thankfully, there's little contamination by association here.
Okay guys, so interesting note to end on there with the Flieger watches. I once had a Flieger watch myself. Very beautiful watches, definitely large watches. And mine was considerably smaller than their standard Flieger, which is I think around 45 millimeters. The one I had was about 39 or 40, if I recall correctly. That being said, this Panomatic Luna is more than just stunning. It is a masterclass mechanical precision watch and the innovative double SWAN neck regulator. This watch showcases the best of German engineering. Find out why I'm obsessed with this watch by checking out the Urban Gentry. The movement, of course, is a showstopper caliber 90-02. It is a true in-house marvel, complete with iconic Glashütte 3/4 plate and extraordinary finishing. The size issue, it's a controversial one. Could this Panomatic Luna be just a bit too large for my liking? I think at the current size, it probably would be just fine. However, would it be preferable if it was a little bit smaller? Yeah, probably. Maybe, in my humble opinion, if they curved the edge of the watch and made it look a little more rounded, then perhaps it would look a little bit less blocky and look even better on the wrist. Or maybe they could do something similar to the Junghans watches and kind of shape them like a saucer below. That kind of creates a almost visual illusion that the watch is actually smaller than what it is. That being said, with it being around $10,000, this watch is crazy affordable for what it offers. You won't believe the amount of craftsmanship packed into this price tag. So what's the verdict? After spending time with this incredible piece in these videos and at a store, I can honestly say I am in love with it. Will it be my Grail watch? I don't know. The Urban Gentry's? Well, check out his video to see if that's the case. And everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with my wonderful watch reviews that we have from different YouTubers. Click, click, click. Stay tuned. The Grail watch hunt isn't over yet. Catch you in the next one. Ciao.